right? Propositions we have to accept on faith. So proposition 1 is the behavioral component of charismatic leadership are interrelational. Okay, well, that makes sense. We've talked about a lot of pieces of it. Hypothesis 2 is leaders are charismatic when their vision is highly discrepant from the status quo, yet is accepted by the followers. Okay, let's take this apart. What does discrepant mean? It means different. And in fact, highly discrepant means highly different. So the hypothesis is that leaders are charismatic when their vision is highly different from the norm. Remember, we talked about status quo. Status quo means the norm. But yet is accepted by the followers. Now this is important, because what we're doing here is we're setting this apart from other kinds of leadership. Okay? This hypothesis suggests that charismatic leadership occurs only in certain situations. That situation where there's a discrepancy between the vision of the leader and the norms of society, and yet the followers are willing to accept that vision. Okay. All right, the third hypothesis is charismatic leaders may take on high personal risk to achieve a shared vision. In other words, they're willing to commit themselves to that. The fourth hypothesis, charismatic leaders demonstrate expertise in transcending the existing order through the use of unconventional means. Okay, does that make sense? So, transcending. What does transcending mean? It means going above or going beyond, right? So, what they're saying is they demonstrate expertise in going beyond the existing order, but not through conventional means, through unconventional means. I mean, just to use the example of Bill Gates again. He had a vision. What was the vision? An operating system. Okay? And he transcended the existing order because he said, we're not going to go and use Fortran and COBOL and those languages on the mainframe. We're not going to, in fact, we're not going to use languages. What are we going to do? We're going to make a system that operates by itself. So we don't need a language. Okay? So, and he thought about it from an unconventional perspective. Okay? Does that make sense? And at that point, he was pretty charismatic. The fifth hypothesis is charismatic leaders engage in behaviors that are unconventional, creating high personal risk. Now, a lot of charismatic leaders fail. Okay? And often when they fail, what does that mean?
They can convince
Okay. They can't, their followers, they lose their followers, or they can't keep their followers, or they can't convince their followers. But often in very charismatic leaders, particularly in business, it means that what's going to happen to them? They're going to be kicked out. And in the United States, unfortunately, charismatic leadership for a lot of religious people means that they do things that they land in jail for. Okay? So there's a whole lot of people in jail that were charismatic leaders who failed. Okay? Hypothesis 6. Charismatic leaders engage in the assessment of environmental resources and constraints. In other words, they look at what are the resources in the environment, what are the constraints in the environment, and they implement strategies when the odds are favorable. In other words, they take situations where the environment provides them a good chance of success. if just, and I don't mean to beat Bill Gates' example to death, but why was, again, the situation